Hi, my name's Gemma and this is my Meet the Filmmaker video. Tony asked me to do one of these for you. I'm not very good at speaking in front of the camera, I'm usually behind the camera, so you'll have to excuse me. So let's just kick right off with the questions. So first question is, how did I get into filmmaking? It's a very good question. I'm not entirely sure how I got into filmmaking, it just kind of happened. Film TV is something that I've loved for a long time, ever since I was a kid. And something I never thought that it just never occurred to me is something you could do. It's just not the type of thing in my family that was ever thought of as being something that you could pursue. I don't come from a very creative family, or one that watched much film, so for me I was always the odd one out. And then one day, I think when I was probably about 17, I was describing a scene in a TV show to my cousin, who said, yeah, you should study media. And that was it. So I studied media when I was 18, did a bit of filmmaking in that, and it kind of just upped my love of film and being creative and wanting to create my own stuff. I did my 2-year college course, and then after that I didn't do any more for a couple of years. I did a few little bits here and there, just doing some set design work and then a little bit of makeup work, but apart from that I didn't really pursue it. And when I was 30, so quite a few years later, I trained to be a makeup artist, and something I always wanted to do. More than special effects, makeup was what interested me. I mean, I spent my life growing up and watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all those kind of things, so that was what I loved. Anything that had Buffy, you know, that kind of vampire, werewolf, kind of old school characters in them was me and what I loved. So special effects was the route that I wanted to go down with makeup. So I trained, did a few bits here and there, on a few little bits, and then it was on one shoot where I was doing some special effects makeup just locally in my area, in the New Forest, that I sort of said to a couple of guys, oh, I'd love to make my own film, and they said, just do it. So I did. So I had this little short film that I'd wrote. It was only a couple of pages. Sent it to a couple of people that I knew. I was like, this is what I got, do you reckon we can do it? And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we did, and that was in June 2018. So we made the film, and it's only about 5 minutes long, and then I submitted it to a load of festivals. And the first festival it got accepted to was one in LA, which was really cool, the Lady Filmmakers Festival. And then from there it kind of won a few awards and went to other festivals, and that spurred me on to make my second film, which I did, and that one won even more awards and got even further, which was really cool. So I've actually only made 2 short films so far. I've kind of moved on to more writing at the moment. I was going to make my 3rd this year, but with the virus that's going on at the moment, that's kind of on hold, so it probably won't get made this year. But that's all cool, because it's given me a chance to focus and develop my writing, which is what I'm loving, which is probably where I'm probably going to nurture that route more. I feel like it's more me. Directing stresses me out a little bit too much, but I'll do it. I mean, in this day and age of indie filmmakers, you've kind of got to do a bit of everything: write, direct, produce, production design, edit. You know, I mean, I pretty much did all of that for my first film, as we only had very, very, very few people, but the people that I did have are people I still work with, because they had, oh yeah, what's that? Sorry, I've got a dog who had soil all over her nose. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so my first one I was lucky to work with a good few people who then brought in a load of people for my second film, and it's just building and growing from there. So the first film was based on Alice in Wonderland. It was kind of my own dark take with vampires. Mad Hatter is basically use the train. Mad Hatter is basically a vampire, and so it's the Queen of Hearts, and there's this crazy party, this crazy tea party with like drugs and drink and all sorts of stuff, and Alice and her friends get killed by the vampires, basically, is what happens in my first film. But I did it in a very different way to most people's first films. It was very, very visual. The set we had was a proper tea party set. I say we literally had like booze and cakes and all sorts of stuff all over the place. I played it off to classical music, so the whole score was classical music. My mum's cousin, my second cousin, is one of the top cellists in the world. So I was lucky enough to email him and get his permission to use his music to put as the score. And yeah, it's just a very visual, it's more like a visual feast is what it is, more than story. Very, very simple story, but it's all about the visuals and the look and the production design and the set. But that's kind of how I like to work a lot of the time, particularly with the shorts. Obviously the story is developing as I go, the more I make and the more I write. But for me, a lot of it is the set. If the set's not looking really overly visual, then I'm not happy. And that kind of picked up in my second film, because we shot a scene in my second film is called Adam, and it is based on the Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, which is something I'm a huge fan of. I've actually got Bride of Frankenstein tattooed on my leg. I love her so much. She's just such an inspirational character for me. So I just wanted to do my own take on it. So we shot in a graveyard at night with permission. We managed to get permission from this great old church, and we actually literally shot in the graveyard overnight. And then we had again, thanks to a few people, namely David Rogers, we were able to set up a great Frankenstein's lab, this old school Frankenstein's lab. We had some awesome pieces. Where we shot, we even had a crane, so we were able to, indoor crane. We shot inside this big warehouse owned by my dad, so we were able to set it up. David Rogers got all this great set pieces, so he did most of the production design on Adam, and all these really awesome tools and just so gorgeous old school stuff. So we were able to connect the slab that my bride sits on or lies on to the crane and actually lift her up, which was awesome. And then my editor, I didn't do the editing on that one, I had my friend Nigel do the editing. Crane again, and he is kind of a whiz with special effects, so he was able to then bring in all this lightning, and it was just, and we made it black and white because it just went with the feel. I had a proper composer come in and add a score to it that's got very Tim Burton-esque style to it, which I love because I'm a massive Tim Burton fan. I've got an entire tattoo sleeve full of just the whole thing is just Tim Burton. So it was just full of all this influence. Adam, it really was kind of a love child of everything that I love. It's kind of got all those influences, the black and white, the nods to that whole German expressionism, which is something that I learned when I went to college, and something that I came to love. The whole Nosferatu, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, all those kind of nods and all that black and white, and that nod to that old school, or the Universal monsters. But then we played it very modern and very different, because it made the monster actually smaller than the guy who plays the Doctor. So it's a different take to it. And having these kind of old sport, quite a few of the reviewers who haven't quite got it have sort of said, oh, the effects look a bit old school, and I was like, that's what they're supposed to look like. This is supposed to look old school. This is supposed to be a tribute to old black and white cinema, and all that. yeah, and all those characters that influence most of what's out there today. So it's kind of, yeah, and I watched it again the other day because I had to check a festival submission. First time I'd seen it again in a few months, and I'm kind of proud of that one. I don't know whether or not I should say that or not, but what we were able to accomplish for no money was pretty astounding. I mean, the guys, what David was able to do with the set, what Nigel was able to do, Kieran Evans, the cinematographer, what he was able to do with the light and the set, incredible. Anyway, I'm blabbering on now, so sorry about that. But it just comes down to, if you have the vision and you have the drive, you can do it. As people say, the question I've got is how did you get into the film industry? I just did it. I just decided to make my own film, and I did, and then I submitted it to festivals and it got somewhere. And then I made another and submitted it to festivals and that got somewhere. And it's learning, a lot of it's about learning from the people around you, which is what I do, you know. The people around me, Kieran, Nigel, David, they've all got more experience than me. They're older than me, they've been at this longer than me, and you know, you just listen to them. You have your vision, you listen to those people who know more than you do, and you know, you take their advice and you listen to what they've got to say, but then you put your take to it and your vision to it, and that's it. It's not having the ego. Too many people in film have an ego. It's just don't have an ego. It's all about working together. Yes, I may be one person who wrote and directed it, but it's not my film. It's all of our films, because I couldn't have done it without everyone else. So I think it's just, you know, how do you become a filmmaker? You do it. You don't do it with an ego. You do it and you take advice and you listen, particularly if you're beginning, you know, you listen and you just make what you want to make. That's what I did. That's what I'm continuing to do with my writing. You know, people tell me that I should write something that can be shot now and can be shot this and that, and I'm like, but I can't write like that. The way I write is very visual. Everything is a very kind of elaborate set. I've written a short film called The Scarecrow, which is what we're hoping to make this year. It's won quite a few awards on the festival circuit, just as a script. Again, it's very visual. I've also written 2 TV pilots, which have won awards again on the festival script. One is set in the Victorian period, so again, Victorian period, not so easy. And that's a lot of the criticism I'm getting, is everyone loves it, but it's not going to be easy to make. But hey, if life was easy, it wouldn't be any fun. And my other one has all these fantasy creatures in it, like dragons and talking ferrets and talking birds and all sorts of stuff in it, because that's more fantasy children based. And again, it's like, oh, this isn't going to be cheap to make, but I can't write any other way. It's how I work and how I operate. So just do what you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, but yet listen to advice when people try to give it. And people, you know, when people know better, when people have been at it longer and they have more knowledge than you, listen to their advice and then just put your take to it. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the past. I've only been doing this since June 2018, so nearly 2 years. Oh wait, hold on, 18, 19, yeah, nearly 2 years. Was it 18 or was it 17? Might be 2017. Excuse me. Don't worry, I haven't got the virus. I've just got a bit of a breathing issue right now, but not the virus. 2 or 3 years anyway, max. I've lost my dates. Time goes so quickly, I've got no idea what's going on. Yeah, so I haven't been at it very long, but I've got quite a few projects kind of going, award winners here and there, which is so awesome, which I never thought would happen. Never would expect to make a little film and then expect to be in LA with it. So that was incredible. I was hoping to make The Scarecrow this year, not going to happen. Maybe next year, maybe. hopefully, we'll see. Apart from that, I'm kind of working on my TV stuff at the moment, TV scripts. I've got a podcast coming out shortly called The Queens of Screams, so check that out soon. So it's not up yet, but it will be soon. And that sort of focuses on the women in horror. We're going to be looking at all sorts from the history of the Scream Queen to female serial killers to female victims of serial killers. It's all about women, female filmmakers. We're even going to be doing a few movie reviews, obviously based on very female-based horror films. So yeah, and for me it's about that celebration of women in horror, because that's who I am. I'm a woman in horror. I do other stuff as well, but it's primarily who I am. Everything I write even has some kind of horror or fantasy element to it, so why not celebrate it? So that's going to be coming out soon. I've got a YouTube channel coming up soon. We got some puppets I'm playing with, which is going to be awesome. So that'll be out soon. That'll be the Tales of Jackson Kirby. That is just getting ready, and I'm writing a children's book. It's all based on monsters. Everything I do is kind of based on monsters and horror, and because that's what I love. So there's lots coming up to keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for my podcast, Queens of Screams. It will be out soon, hopefully by the end of this month, which means I haven't got time to start it, but we're getting there. And my website, again, keep an eye on my website. It's going to be updated shortly with everything that's going on. It needs a little bit of an update, but I'm going to get to it. It's www.twistedrootproductions.com, and that will show what we've got coming up, what we're going to be doing. Queens of Screams will be on there, Tales of Jackson Kirby will be on there, and all these other stuff will be sort of flowing through. So I've got lots going on. I'm keeping nice and busy. Luckily I work from home anyway, although keeping busy kind of gets hard when you've got a dog. Or I've got two, another one's, but he's asleep over there. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go because that's paddled off for way too long. I'm gonna go get some work done so I can start bringing you content, and yeah, I'll see you all soon. Alright, bye.